This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having a fellow Long Islander, Dr. Jaime Schehr, with me. She is not only a doctor, but the co-owner of Xfit Lab, which is responsible for elite programming in the fitness industry and trying to get all of us who are aspirational elite athletes to actually operate as such and also have a day job. So, Jaime,
right.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So, a lot of people that we talk to are either in the fitness industry, health club operators, boutique fitness operators. So, it'd be great to get a medical perspective and maybe an elevated view of how you feel, exercise and that the health club experience has evolved and where you think we can take it to actually get people even better results and have them understand their bodies and the science behind it. So maybe you can give your background and then we can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. So for me, fitness and athletics and nutrition was always something that was there. So I went and got my bachelor's in health and nutrition early on. And then I just knew I was going to do sports nutrition. That was for sure. So I was going to go and be a sports dietitian. I went out to the University of Nebraska, worked with their football team, which is a big deal if you know anything about collegiate football,
the
right?
Cornhuskers.
So yeah, that was it. Like
Yep.
my golden ticket, I got it. I got the job as a sports nutritionist, as an RD for the University of Nebraska, and I hated it.
Wow.
And I felt so disenchanted by the political side of nutrition and just really not being able to understand what people needed and how they felt performing with specific foods. So from sports nutrition, it took me back to New York where I finished off my RD, started working in clinical nutrition in the hospital and felt incredibly unfulfilled, really with the concept that I always knew that there was fitness and there was something to working out and fitness and health that coincided so nicely with nutrition, but not necessarily from the conventional side of things. So I embarked on my naturopathic medical degree so I can have a better understanding of integrative health and wellness, and then eventually married that to the nutrition background. So it's pretty unique because there's not a lot of people that have both a naturopathic doctor degree and a registered dietitian. So a lot of people will ask me if I'm a nutritionist, and yes, I am, but I've also sort of taken that and elevated it just to be able to understand the body from a physiology perspective and really sort of know what it organically is capable of and help take people to that level, which is where Xfit Lab came in. So after working a few years in private practice and 12 years as a clinician for Mount Sinai Hospital, outpatient, I then met a coach who was really interested in what it looks like when we marry medicine and fitness. And just, especially with the rise of CrossFit and boutique fitness, people doing so much more exercise than they ever had before. What can we put our bodies through? How do we need to recover? What do we need to be able to recover? And really sort of biohacking and having a better understanding of what our engine looks like. Why are some people better runners? Why are some people better cyclists, and some people bad at both. And so, or not great, I should say. So what happened was we started working with this coach who said, can you do VO2 max testing on our athletes? And I was like, I can, but like, how are we going to use that? What's the mission behind this? So my husband and I, who is a chiropractor and also an athlete, thought, why don't we just buy all this equipment and why don't we just try it out and see, right? Because if somebody wants to go get this test done, they have to go to the hospital for special surgery or somewhere else, and then they're going to have a clinician who understands the test but doesn't understand fitness. Where can we go that someone's going to actually understand how to apply this to sport? So we bought the equipment, we tested it all out, we piloted some different routines and ways to reproduce the results, and we're able to come up with what we have now, which is Xfit Lab, which uses various different types of testing, not just VO2 max, but a lot of different medical testing. Sometimes we'll look at cortisol levels, we'll look at hormones, we'll look at different things to see, what's working within the body, how is it functioning, and how can we reproduce that. That's brought us to a lot of different places, working with companies like Power Monkey Fitness and CrossFit, Peloton, SoulCycle, where we go in with our ability to look at the human body and how people exercise and marry those two for the best results.
So just for our listeners and maybe for me, can you talk about VO2 max and what the results tell you and what the body can do, and then maybe on the cortisol side and so many other parts? Because I don't think many people do the types of upfront understanding of what they can know about themselves. I think like right now everyone's up to 23andMe and doing spitting in a tube. So let's talk about where things are going to be
the truth is
soon.
we are at a time of amazing information overload. You know,
Right.
there's so
Right.
many new technologies out that it's really easy to do too many things and to then look back and be like, oh yeah, I did that. I forget what the results were. I don't even remember. Did I do that? You know?
Right.
So just to take it back a step. So VO2 max testing really looks at the body's ability to operate at its maximum capacity. So how much oxygen can you take in at the maximal output for exercise? And there have historically been uses for that within marathon training, making sure that you're not running too fast so you can sustain the duration of it, really running within your heart zones. But then we're going to take things like, you know, in the past couple of years, the expansion of places like Orange Theory, which all of a sudden are like, hey, we're going to work out towards your heart rate because higher heart rate is going to burn more calories. And all different places that have that, we'll say high intensity interval training. And what that's based off of is looking at the cardiovascular output of the body and knowing that when you operate at a higher cardiovascular output, you're going to have a greater caloric burn and or workout per se. But you can't.
So would you say that that's true?
I think the science is true. The science is the higher your VO2 max, right? We can talk about Lance Armstrong. It's outrageous, you know, for many reasons.
With a little bit.
Yeah.
But a little bit of extra.
But there's some genetic predisposition
Sure.
to, you know, incredible ability. So a lot of people will say like, oh, I'm a bad runner. And maybe you're not. Maybe you just don't really understand how to run within the capacity of your heart rate. So for VO2 max, you know, do you need to know your VO2 max? No, but we're not really looking for the max. We're looking for the medical side of it, which is where do you operate the most efficient? Because really, at the end of the day, we're trying to look good, we're trying to feel good, and we're trying to live longer.
Right.
So if we can sort of optimize everybody's exercise to say, hey, here's your best zone, or if we create a class for a company, it's like, you know what, I can tell you that if you program this class in this way, it's going to reproduce these same results every single time, so that you don't get into trouble saying that it's a certain type of class when it's not.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was interesting. I brought this up on a podcast recently. Planet Fitness is kind of all the rave right now in the financial markets, and it's a public company. And there was a research report that was put out, and this research analyst was saying, well, this is a great business, and you know, we've got 15 million members. And I read through the whole report, and I was looking for the word results, and it was like 20 pages, and there was not one thing about like helping people lose weight, helping people feel better about themselves, changing their body, changing their lifestyle. None of that. And I was like, I kind of want to just like throw it out and say like, okay, this isn't a gym. This is like a laundromat with some music that people can optionally like come in and out of. And I was with a group of health club operators and fitness studio operators yesterday. And I said, look, you have to focus on the fact that you have the ability to get people results. And that is, the laundromat is a place people go to basically clean their clothes, and they clean their body and they feel like, oh yeah, I went to the gym today, but you didn't really do anything.
Yeah, and so basically, right off of that, what I can say is that we've found a way to measure those results. You know, both from an insider view, looking at, you know, the engine and organically what the body's capable of, and then also from an outside, right? So being able to look at changes in muscle mass, changes in body fat, changes in composition, and all of those things to a targeted outcome. But, you know, it's more than just VO2. It's, you know, you asked a question earlier about sort of the trend in fitness. People are looking for ways to engage more in their exercise. Both in studio as well as virtually, right? So there's all of these new things coming out. And what do we really all want to know? We want to know about ourselves. That's what we're after, right? We're all sort of in this for a healthy narcissistic capacity where we just want to learn more about ourselves. And so whenever you have an opportunity to do that, I think in the fitness world, and somebody can reflect on how well they did or how well they experienced the class or the online program, whatever it is, it retains your client because there's something that feels really good when we feel like we're being, you know, the attention is towards what our individual goal is. So,
and I probably go to either a SoulCycle class or to a workout class 5 or 6 days a week. And I will admit here that I have not taken the time to go and get my VO2 max, go get the cortisone levels, or go figure out, you know, how to optimize myself. And I'm a little bit ashamed about it, but the reason why I haven't gone is, one, because I haven't taken the time to find out how close it is to get there, how much it costs, and how much time I need to allocate. So if I am your, you know, prospective client, you know, and let's say me times, you know, 500,000 people in the New York area that are going to the gym, you know, how quickly can it get done? How much does it cost? You know, so we can try and get people to learn more about themselves and not being intimidated about like, well, that's only if you go to like the Mayo Clinic executive,
yeah, right.
You know, leadership.
You got to go to Cleveland Clinic and spend $60,000.
So how, where can we do this? Or is there a business opportunity where, you know, we should have places where you can go and and do this quickly, we invested in a company in Canada. They have this electromagnetic. It's called the eVolt 360. So you go on there, you know,
It's
60
like an
seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it didn't give me as much as what I felt like I needed to. It was more like a sales tool, but it was helpful to know like select skeletal body.
Sure, lean muscle in your left arm versus your right arm, your left leg. You know, how much intracellular versus extracellular water do you have? And all of those are fun things. But the issue that I run into whenever we do testing like that is the next question is, okay, so what do I do about it?
Exactly.
You know, it's like, okay, here's your numbers. Oh, that's great. What do I do about it? And so to answer your question about where this exists and where this lives, you know, we run the lab here out of New York City, but the magic of the testing is not within the individual client. It's something like how we did if we take SoulCycle's Activate, right? So it's us going in, using our testing, reproducing it time and time again to create the class so that I know when you go, if I have the right instruction to you and your instructor does it the right way, you don't have to worry about what your VO2 max is because we created a class that will make sure that you're training towards improving it, which is training within an anaerobic threshold, et cetera. So the magic of this is really being able to implement it within different programs, within different companies. There is, you know, I live in Westchester. I work out at a gym called Lifetime Athletic.
Sure.
They do VO2 max testing. No disrespect to Lifetime Athletic. I went and I did it. And then I said to the guy, you know, in sort of research, and I was like, so what does this mean? And he was like, you don't really need to lose any weight. I was like, thanks. So it's being able to really educate on the platform.
Did you put your membership on freeze at that point?
No, what I thought was, well, let me find a way to let you guys know how much you need a new interpretation of this data so that it's applicable to creating long-lasting fitness.
So I've taken a lot of Soul Activate classes, actually the best ones that I've taken. Taylor's my guy who does that. Awesome. So shout out to Taylor Nomad. Woo-hoo. Thanks for my Activate class. And my lady friend for joining me in the bike next to me. You know, what's the band of, if I have a good VO2 max and David's got a decent VO2 max, Noah's got, and like, what's the range of, say, average people, and how much does that differ?
It differs a lot based on your training, right? So if you're an endurance-based athlete, if you're not, it differs a lot based on your diet. So in my private practice here in New York City, I have some of the biggest fitness influencers coming in still, even though they look amazing and they have 500,000 followers who want to look just like them, they still come in wanting to know how to look better and, you know, how to perform better and how to get a better score, whether it's on their Evolt or Evolt or InBody or VO2 or in VO2 or PNOE, whatever their machine is. The idea is that there has to be some element that we can individualize to that. So it's not just do you run or do you SoulCycle, it's how you eat, it's what lifestyle looks like, which is part of the rise of fitness, right? It's about doing the things, recovering, right? You see all these stretch labs, you see the infrared sauna labs, you see all of these things. Their recovery is just as important because if you can't recover, you can't perform. Right. So I have all these people who take 17 classes a week and they don't know how to recover. And so my job is, hey, you don't need to improve your VO2. What I actually need to do is to teach you how to take it down. Let's recover, because then when you are recovered, you're going to kill it in your next class. And
gotcha.
So there's an element there to that.
So we're an investor in Higher Dose, so the infrared sauna company and the infrared blankets. So could we say on the record here that infrared works as a workout recovery tool?
I'm a huge infrared sauna fan. I think that it works for a lot of things. I think it works in recovery. I think it works in stress management and inflammation. I probably send most of my clients to infrared sauna, whether it's for stress management, for weight management, for sport recovery, because I do think that there is a lot that we need to look at from a detoxification standpoint. If you walk and live in New York City, you're full of toxins. So I'm a big infrared sauna advocate. I do think that it's incredibly helpful. I'm not going to go on record and say, sit in a sauna and lose 30 pounds without doing anything else.
No, we'll say that.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of the marketing. You don't have to say anything.
But I absolutely...
I'm not certified at anything except, really good marketing. And
selling things.
Selling stuff to people.
But yeah, I'm a very, very big advocate. From the clinical health level, back down to my degree, my medical degree, really understanding how infrared sauna works with detoxification and people with very serious diseases, all the way up to just feeling better in your day, getting out of that sauna, feeling like, you know what, I actually feel better just from that 10, 15 minutes. So big fan.
So can I do a lightning round of like 5, myth or
myth and truth? Let's do it.
Here we go. Myth or truth. All right. Flotation tanks.
relaxing, but not as effective.
Normatec compression technology.
Love them. Feel like fantastic after my legs come out of them. Although the pelvic one was incredibly
I haven't done that
challenging.
Cryotherapy.
I don't think it's the answer to non-aging. I don't think it's your solution to looking like you're 30 when you're 60, but I don't think that they're far off from understanding how the benefit of changing cellular function. So a fan, but not as effective as some other modalities.
Drinking water. That was just a joke.
Seriously,
Obviously,
though,
very
like
good. The
everybody
best, right?
needs, yeah. I mean, can we all drink more water? Everyone's dehydrated.
Okay, and the last one, LED light therapy.
For very specific situations, I think it's really skin disorders. I think for certain mood disorders, I don't know that across the board it is going to have as much benefit as something like infrared or Normatec.
That's awesome. Great. So, where do you see the future of workout recovery in general? And do you see it becoming over the next couple of years, next to a SoulCycle, inside a SoulCycle? Do people start to allocate the amount of time? Do you think this educational curve is a couple of years or 10 years?
I think they have to.
Yeah.
I think, this explosion on the fitness market of, I have clients that take 12, 13 classes a week.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they're going to need to figure out that they have to recover in order to be able to sustain what they love as their community and their cycle, their friends, et cetera. So I think recovery is huge. I think you're seeing that with meditation places. You're seeing it with these nap centers.
Mm-hmm.
But recovery is not just not taking exercise classes. It's eating right. We're seeing that like the market is huge in regards to everybody wants to eat clean and eat this and don't eat this. Mm-hmm. So I think recovery is just beginning to really boom in the market the way that fitness did. I think the problem is it's not as fun. It's not as easy, right? Like you don't get the same high from sitting alone and meditating that you do from getting off the bike at SoulCycle. So it's a little bit more challenging to try and get people to really understand that. And also in New York, we want to go and do, and we don't really want to stop because that feels like we're not productive when it actually essentially makes us much more productive.
Right. Well, it's been great to know you. I'd like to come in and get a full eval and make sure that I'm doing the right thing so I can do more Activate classes.
And then I'll tell you to go sit in your sauna.
Yeah, there you go, and I'll calm down for once. So how do people get in touch with you at Xfit?
It's just xfitlab.com, and on Instagram it's at Xfit Lab. And then myself, Dr. Jaime Schehr, is connected to both of those.
Awesome. So the moral of the story is we've heard it from the highest level, and you need to do some more workout recovery and take good care of yourself. And the more you work out, the more you need to recover, and you will hopefully live forever.
Yeah, and understand your body, right? Like individualized programming, really know what works for you.
Great. All right. Thanks for being on and giving us that education.